Welcome to the Calm Mom Podcast, the show for ambitious women ready to get off the hot mess express. I know you've got a lot going on. You work so hard, you're raising an incredible family, and sometimes it can be overwhelming. I'm your host, Michelle Grosser. I'm a certified master life coach, attorney, wife, and mom. And years ago, I was right where you are. I was running a busy law practice while raising a family, and I was on the fast track to burnout. I thought I just needed to be more organized or have better routines, but it was learning how to heal and regulate my nervous system that expanded my capacity to gracefully hold more of this big, beautiful life. You too are worthy of an extraordinary life in and beyond motherhood. Learning to be a calm, anchoring presence in your home and at work is going to be your superpower. If you're here to do the inner work that brings a sense of calm amidst the chaos, I'm here to join you on that journey. Each time you press play, your growth continues. So let's get at it. Hey friends, it's Michelle here. You're listening to the Calm Mom Podcast. We're going to talk about perfectionism today. Something that I feel like I can speak from experience because for so long, I know I was a self-proclaimed perfectionist. Like I actually wore that like a badge of honor. And I don't know, it was just kind of this misguided, thwarted proof of, I don't know what I thought I was proving: discipline, my drive, my work ethic, right? And I just kind of clung to perfectionism as one of the main reasons that I had found quote unquote success. But beneath perfectionism, there's a flip side to it, right? And it took me a really long time to understand that. Are there benefits that come along with having perfectionistic tendencies? Yes, absolutely. That's why we do it, right? It's actually a coping mechanism. We've learned it. We've adopted that pattern over time, and we've reaped the benefits, the success, the discipline, the high standards. But there's also a weight of the pitfalls. And that's kind of what I want to get into a little bit today, because that's the part of perfectionism that I didn't share, right? I didn't share how, it made me really defensive when I got feedback because that felt like a threat to my worth, right? To have imperfections or to take criticism. I didn't share how it made me keep people at arm's length because deep down, like what if they knew or found out that it wasn't as perfect as it seemed. And I think it really distanced me from people because, I don't know, perfectionism just has you kind of rigid, right? It's like you just see others, you're like just as critical on others as you are on yourself. And it's hard to see their efforts without seeing their flaws. And then I think the biggest thing is like it leads to so much exhaustion, you guys. Perfectionism is exhausting because that standard doesn't exist. And maybe you felt this way too. And I just want to encourage you today with some real talk that perfectionism, it isn't actually doing what we think it's doing, right? It's not actually making us better. It's actually keeping us stuck. And it keeps us stuck in these patterns of overthinking and overworking and never feeling enough. Like, hello, how I slid into a really deep burnout. So today, we're going to unpack some of the sneaky ways I think that perfectionism is quietly running the show in our lives. And I want to talk about some of the nervous system patterns that start to reinforce perfectionistic tendencies. And then I want to give you guys some really practical takeaways, some practical handles to start rewiring your brain to step out of the trap of perfectionism. Because we're not here to be perfect, right? I'm not here to be perfect. You're not here to be perfect. I'm here because of inherently who I am holds value, right? Perfectionism is not the reason that I have or have accomplished or haven't, right? Any of the things that I've experienced in my life. So let's talk about it. Before we jump in though, I do want to ask if you have not yet left the Calm Mom Podcast a 5-star rating or a short review. What if today would be the day if you could just take 20 seconds and just scroll down, leave the show a 5-star rating, leave a review, just maybe 1 or 2 sentences, something that's resonated, what you love about the show, what you've taken away, something that's helped. I'd be so grateful. It is the best way that you can thank me if you've gotten anything out of this podcast. And it would just mean so much to me because it helps spread the show to other women like you who could use this information. So if you could leave a 5-star rating and a short review today, I love you guys. Okay, let's start with sign number 1. Reason number 1 that perfectionism is holding you back. The first reason is that perfectionism is keeping you from learning. It keeps us from learning, right? When was the last time that you tried something new and you just let yourself be really bad at it? Right? It's really hard for us to do that if we are stuck in perfectionism, because perfectionism turns learning into a threat, right? We're not like awesome at things the first time we do them. If you grew up feeling like your worth was tied to your achievements, and a lot of times this wasn't intentional, right? By our parents or our caregivers. Like they never came out and were like, I will love you more if you got straight A's, right? I will love you more if you are captain of the debate team. I will love you more if you are, the starter on the varsity team. They never actually said these things, but our nervous system is so good at picking up on subtle cues. And maybe when we did have these big achievements, that's when we got the accolades. That's when we got the words of affirmation. That's when we were told, that they were proud of us. That's when they cut out the newspaper clipping and put it on the refrigerator. And there was this subconscious message that, your worth, your value is tied to your achievements, your grades, your performance, your ability to do things well, right? And then stepping into something unfamiliar 20 years later feels like stepping into failure, right? So instead of trying something new and it being messy and difficult and embarrassing and humbling, our ego and our perfectionism tells us, well, if you can't do it perfectly, like why even do it at all, right? People are going to judge you if you struggle. This is going to be so embarrassing. You're not going to be the best one in the room or in the class. You're going to make a ton of mistakes, right? Mistakes mean you're not good enough. And our brain is wired to avoid this type of failure, you guys, especially if we're not aware of it, because our brain associates failure with what? It associates failure with like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be rejected. I'm going to be outcast. There's going to be shame, right? Maybe this isn't even safe. So if you were criticized or compared or only celebrated when you achieved and excelled, it makes sense that over time, your nervous system starts to perceive like, quote unquote, not being great, quote unquote, not knowing all the things, quote unquote, not knowing how and having done it 700 times as something that's not safe, right? It's not good. So instead of being curious, our body, we try something new, right? We're not great at it. Our body launches into fight or flight mode the second we feel unsure. And that's why we start to avoid learning new things, stepping into that growth, the expansion of our edges entirely, even when it's something we want to do. So what do we do about it, right? I think we all want to learn. It's probably why you're here listening to this podcast today, right? It's a big part about why I turn on any podcast I hit play on is because I want to learn. So how do we start to rewire this pattern of perfectionism that's keeping us from actually learning and growing and trying new things? Well, I think the first thing is a mindset shift, you guys. I know we've heard it like 700 billion times. It's like focus on progress, not perfection. But it's true, right? Like what if your goal going into something new was actually not to be great at it or even to get great at it? What if your goal into going something new was not to like excel at it, master it? What if you could just enjoy the journey, right? What if your goal was just to like learn something new for the sake of learning something new, for the joy in that, right? Like go pick up that hobby that you abandoned because, you painted something and it looked like a stick figure, right? Can you try something new without the pressure to master it? Can you show up and be really, truly, deeply satisfied with having made incremental progress instead of excelling at something, right? And it's a big permission slip. It's a huge permission slip to like let yourself be bad at something. I can't tell you guys like how bad I am at dancing. like bad. Like I have decent rhythm. I'm fairly athletic, but like coordination when it comes to like moves in like a choreographed dance, I am horrible. I don't know if it's because I'm way too tall to be like graceful in that way. And then my limbs are too long and I just look like a baby deer that is so awkward in moving, but I'm so bad at it. Right. And I avoid things like that. And I'm starting to notice how uncomfortable it feels when I'm in a scenario like that, where I know how bad I am at something. But guess what? The more I lean into that and the more I can like laugh at myself, the more I can let myself sit in that discomfort of not being good at it without running from it. Man, I'm exercising the muscle, right? Man, I'm rewiring the pattern. And then part of that is just reframing mistakes to like, y'all, mistakes are they're to be celebrated, I think, because it's proof that you're doing something that's challenging, right? It's proof that you're doing something new. It's proof that you're growing. So every time you mess up and make a mistake and it looks awful and it sounds awful and you're like, holy man, this is not great. Tell yourself, right? It's an encouragement. Man, this means I'm learning. Okay. The second reason that perfectionism might be holding you back is that perfectionism keeps us from taking feedback. Ugh, this one hits home. Because when we operate from perfectionism, right? Feedback feels like an attack. Feedback feels like criticism. It feels personal, right? It feels like proof that everything we're afraid of is actually true, right? That it's not good enough, that it's not valuable, that it's not helpful, like whatever it is. It's just proof that we're not enough. And here's the truth, right? If we can't take feedback, you guys, we can't grow. So whatever area of your life this is showing up in, right? If it's at work and you find that you dread performance reviews, right? If you get super defensive when you're part of a group and someone offers a suggestion on something you're working on, if you only want feedback when it's positive feedback and it's a glowing review, right? If you get super defensive and irritable when your partner or your parent or your children has something to offer you that feels like an attack, you might be trapped in perfectionism's grip, right? If our nervous system is constantly scanning for threats, you guys, and if past experiences make us feel like mistakes aren't safe, mistakes are failure, mistakes are rejection, then feedback is going to trigger an automatic stress response from us, right? Our brain doesn't hear like, here's some feedback to help you improve. Our brain hears like, you're not good enough, right? And that's why our heart starts to race and our stomach starts to tighten and our mind gets immediately trying to explain away the feedback, right? We start justifying and explaining and rationalizing, and rather than just accepting it for what it is. It's feedback. So how do we start rewiring this pattern? I think the first thing is just to start noticing when we start reacting to feedback, right? And instead of instantly jumping into the old pattern of justifying or defending ourselves or explaining, which so many of us can be so quick to do, take a breath. Okay, I hear that. Thank you for your insight. I'm going to take it to heart, or I'm going to walk on it, or I'm going to think on it, right? And I think part of that is really separating ourselves from the feedback. I had to learn this, and it took a while for me to rewrite this pattern in my brain. I am not my work. I am not how well this podcast does. I am not how much my clients pay me for one-on-one coaching. I am not, how many downloads this show gets. I am not how many Instagram followers I have. I am not how well behaved my kids are, right? I am not like all of these. I am not these things. I'm not my performance. And feedback is about the thing. It's not about me, right? It's not as personal as I like to make it seem in my head. So how can you start to stretch here, right? How can you ask for low stakes feedback that feels uncomfortable? That's okay, but is safe to our nervous system, right? Maybe ask a friend like, hey, how can I show up for you better, right? In this season, I do this all the time with my husband, so much so that it's like kind of gotten, routine, and we do it on the regular to each other. But some days in the morning, as we're just having our quiet time, I'm just like, hey, how can I be a better wife to you today? Right? How do you think I could be a better mom to the girls today? Hey, what do you think about this? Right? Did you listen to my last episode? What do you think about that? And just asking for feedback, getting edits on projects before I finalize them, right? Working with my team, asking them tons of feedback, and really building up my tolerance to be able to receive that feedback in a healthy way, right? Take it to heart, discern, and then make decisions, but allow myself to take that feedback in a way that feels safe without having to explain or justify or defend myself in any way. It's practice. And then the third reason I think that perfectionism holds us back, and this is real, y'all. Perfectionism adds another layer, mostly another layer of stress to everything that we do, right? Because perfectionism isn't about what we do, it's about how we do it. So for those of us who have been stuck in patterns of perfectionism, and I can remember back, right? Even at the start of this podcast, it's only 3 years ago. So, overthinking, overanalyzing, right? Over editing, over preparing, overworking every little thing, right? Sending emails takes an extra 15 minutes because you need it to sound just right. And you're editing IG captions like 500 times before posting it, and double and triple checking my work again and again before submitting it, and not, hitting publish on episodes until I've had a chance to go back and edit out every little, and like all of this stuff, y'all. It's exhausting. It's exhausting. Our brain was not designed to be in high alert mode all the time. And when perfectionism keeps us hyper-focused on trying not to make mistakes, which is not humanly possible, our brain stays in that low-grade stress response 24/7. So what does that mean physiologically, right? Our cortisol levels stay elevated. This is from perfectionism, you guys. Cortisol levels staying elevated. Our sleep getting disrupted, right? We burn out, not because we're doing too much, but because we're doing everything with so much flipping pressure attached to it. So how do we start to rewire this pattern? We hear it, done is better than perfect, right? Can you give yourself good enough deadlines, right? It's good enough. It's good enough. If I tried to have every episode on this podcast be perfect or as near to perfect as I would have liked, you guys would have like 6 episodes to listen to in 3 years, right? But instead, I'm like, hey, can I make the content helpful to people? Can it serve people? And then can I just release it when it's good enough, right? Are there ums in this podcast? Yes. Are there times when you can hear my dogs barking? Yes. Are there times where the editing isn't perfect because I'm not an audio engineer and I also have a real life? Yes, right? Are there times when I lose my train of thought and I kind of ramble for a minute? I'm sure that there are. And I believe that this podcast needs to be out there and it's helping people. So I have allowed myself to release it when it is good enough, right? Not when I've been tweaking it endlessly, not when like, holy moly, set a timer, ship the workout when it's good, my friends, not when it's perfect. And then you'll continue to build momentum. And guess what? The more you do it, the more you release it, the more you build that momentum when it's good enough, it actually gets better, right? Without that attachment to perfection. And that's just practice, right? It's posting the messy Instagram. It's speaking up before you think it. It's letting yourself be seen and be heard before you feel like quote unquote ready. Okay. And then I think the last thing is like, instead of asking, how can I make this better? Whatever it is that you're working on, like, how can you make it easier? How about that instead, right? Instead of always like, hey, how can I make this better? Right? How can I make this easier? How can I make this easier? And I think so many times easier goes with simplify, right? How can I make this simpler? So that's what I've got for you guys today. I'm believing that this helped increase awareness around perfectionism. And I just want you guys to kind of walk away with this idea of like, my perfectionism may not be the badge of honor that I think it is. And that's not to like carry shame around it. It's just to expose it for what it is, right? It's not realistic. It's a coping mechanism. It's holding us back. There's more going on under the surface. And it's just a reminder, like, you're not in the rooms that you're in because you're perfect. You don't have the depth and quality of relationships that you do because you're perfect, right? You are not an incredible mother. And I know that about all of you because you're perfect, right? You don't hold the position at your job that you do because you're perfect. You don't, have influence in your community because you're perfect. You don't have a really healthy marriage because you're perfect. Y'all, it has nothing to do with perfectionism. You're in all of those spaces. You hold those roles so powerfully because of who you are inherently, right? So let's just gather together in solidarity and stop treating perfectionism like a flex, right? Let's stop treating it like a strength. Let's stop letting it steal our joy and keeping us playing small, holding us back, right? Stunting our growth. Let's start showing up as full human beings, flaws, imperfections, and all. All right, you guys, I love y'all so much. I'll talk to you soon.
If you love Mommy's Polygraphs, leave a review.
If you enjoyed this episode, it would be so awesome if you could take a moment to subscribe and rate the podcast. And if you have just a few more seconds to leave a quick review, they really help to get this podcast out to other moms like you. I read every last review, and trust me, when it's late at night or early in the morning before my kids get up and I'm working on bringing you all of this content, your reviews are what keep me going. Leaving a review is truly the best way you can thank me. And of course, DM me on Instagram. I love to hear from you. Thanks for listening to another episode. Head over to the show notes for this episode and all past episodes at michellegrosser.com, where you'll find free resources and more ways to connect with me. If you love the show, share it with a friend. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you next time.